Hello? Hello. Oh, it's a warble there. Hello, it is Kim Howerton, and I am here for the Tuesday Night Live that I do. And I have just been cleaning up my house a little bit, trying to be organized. And, uh, when you're like mid moving things around, you're like, oh, I gotta do something. So here I am, and there's a pile next to me, and my IQ's getting drawn to it. I have like all the this pile. I have a lot of hair ties right here, but I have a pile of like all the cords that don't have like I need some of them for charging, some of them for travel, some of the like I need to go through the cord pile and make sure there's nothing in there I don't need in there. Anyway, and I whacked my hand on the door jamb. And I felt a little silly. It's like a weird band-aid placement, but it was bleeding and I don't want to bleed on things, right? I like just whacked it into the what's that called? The part that has a little it's like there's the there's the outy part on the door that goes in when you turn the knob, and then it goes into a little metal housing. It's like and on the end of the metal housing there's like a little curve, and whacked it on the curve. Anyway, that was way too detailed. A little metal part, and apparently my knuckle skin is very thin. So it's not really a thing, but I have to start out talking about something while people are getting on the stream, or else we have nothing to talk about. And apparently, today I'm talking about my accident prone tendencies, which are very large. And I came across a picture of my boyfriend when I met him. You guys want to see? This is from 30 years ago. And I was like, yeah, what a cutie. He's still a cutie. But anyway, I don't know if you guys can see this. He was a skater boy. Look at my skater boy. Anyway, and he had like this puffy hair. It was windy. There's wind going on the hair, but he had that like lots of hair thing. Anyway, quite honestly, he still has that body, less hair. But that was my skater boy. That was like the picture that I had up in my college room, like at my desk at college when I went away to college. Anyway, as I was having this like what do you call it? Nostalgia moment when I was looking at pictures and I found that one, and it was just such a memory because what I'm 47, so yeah, I met him 30 years ago. Maybe I even met him 31 years ago. We've been dating about 30 years, so there you go. Anyway, David has an actual applicable question rather than me just jawing, which is, have I read Georgia Eads Change Your Diet, Change Your Mind? Um, Yes, I have. I actually read it in preparation for interviewing her. Well, I would read it anyway, but I was going to interview her, and then that interview kind of didn't happen because of some scheduling conflicts. But I like was preparing notes for the interview and read it at that point. Wow, I'm turning into like my grandmother who tells a story by giving you guys like all the details you don't need. I apologize. I don't know what to do about that. Anyway, but yes, and I think it's great, and I think Georgia is great. I think she's a really smart lady. I think she's, really plugged into a lot of things. I feel like she's a little bit I don't wanna say she's, like, under famous or something. Anyway, she was, like, on the forefront of a lot of things, about this mental health stuff, and I think, it's not a competition. But I think, like, there are a lot of people such as oh gosh, what's his name? He wrote, Mind. Yeah, my brain. I can, like, see him in front of my head. Chris Palmer. Chris Palmer has gotten a lot of, like, attention for his work on brain health and, mental disorders and diet, but, Georgia was there kind of first, like, banging the bell, and I think there's no competition. I say that again, but I often kinda have this feeling like, "Oh, I wonder if as many people really know about Georgia's contribution as Chris's," and they're both amazing, and there's room for them and many, many more, and I just sometimes think, yeah, Georgia was the one who was out there talking about a lot of this stuff first, and, yeah, I think she's great. And, like, just from a personal perspective, like, I've had dinner with Georgia, I've hung out with Georgia, she's just a sweetheart, and, is definitely someone I would wanna hire if I was looking for a psychotherapist, or is she a psychotherapist? She's a darn, she's a not a psychologist, my brain. She is a psychiatrist. There we go. If I were looking for a psychiatrist, she would be somebody that I would look. I don't, not that she's seen clients, but like I can see like how I would want to talk to her for sure. And yeah, so that was a long answer. I have read the book and I think it's great. Yeah, I have some leftover iced coffee that I haven't finished yet. This is some cashew milk and some Jot. You guys heard of Jot? Jot. It's a coffee extract, a concentrated cold brew kind of thing, and you just put a little splash in there, and then you've got your iced coffee. I have some in the fridge. Okay, so you just bought the book. Yeah, I definitely think it's worth a read. I think it's a great book. I read it a little while ago, and I can't remember a lot of specific details to pull out of it, but I remember it was good. Things start to run together in my head for sure. So, what else is going on in the world? I don't know. I don't have any conferences coming up. I think KetoCon, which isn't KetoCon anymore. What is it? Hack Your Health. Hack Your Health is, I think, coming up in a couple of weeks to months. It's soon, but I don't think I'll be going to that one. I just, my calendar only has so many days on it, but I am not going there this year. But I love Austin, so I hope people who are going to that have a wonderful time. Um, and what else is happening is that I am doing some research on, you know, general health topics for perhaps a next book, even. So, doing a lot of writing, talking to a lot of people, had some good discussions even with my brother. He works in the field of diabetes, or he reports on it. He's in the journaling field about it, and getting more perspectives from different people. Um, Learning more about type 1 diabetes, that kind of stuff. So definitely looking into how blood glucose is disposed of, and different ways that you can affect the glucose uptake in different bodies with different methods, and trying to increase those things. So just been doing more research on that. And yeah, what else is going on in the world? Who would like to talk about any recipes, questions? I made some faux banana bread this morning just to have that on hand, which is enjoyable. And um, I have not yet opened my salty uh, this is the minerals, but I really need to start taking these on my little mineral journey. And happy to yeah, talk about any other thing that people want to talk about. Um, I'm like, what else is happening? All right. Why is everyone so quiet today? Maybe my comments aren't turned on so much. Hold on, let me see what's going on. If we have a technical difficulty. All right, there we go. I think I had a setting wrong from Facebook. I think I fixed it. All right. So, what has everyone been paying attention to in the world? Like, I don't have my ear to the ground the way I need to, apparently, because I don't know what the things that people are talking about in the world of keto and low carb and carnivore and all that. I did have some good discussions with my family recently on a family outing, talking about different ways in which health breaks down as we get older, different aging things, and ways in which we can further encourage ourselves to be as healthy as possible as we get older. And I'd love to hear from you guys. What has been your number one concern as we're all getting older. So as we are all getting older, What are the things that you guys are thinking about, more concerned about? Where is your focus gone? Are there things that you're more interested in hearing about than you used to be? Those are all things that I think we can all agree as we age are definitely things that start to become more salient for me. It's definitely wanting to maintain like physical strength as long as possible has definitely gone up on my radar in a way that it certainly wasn't on my radar when I was in my 20s, when I just wanted to maybe be smaller. um Brooklyn asks, I know protein is a priority, but what about fat on a keto diet? David says, protein is my focus in my diet. I think to answer Brooklyn's question a little bit, I think the question of how much fat one needs to eat would depend on how much energy one needs. So, on a standard American high carb kind of diet, you've got protein. Well, on any diet, right? Protein is primarily desired because it's structural. You need protein to build your cells, to replenish your muscle mass, right? Protein is like a structural element. So we need to get enough protein for that. Then we need energy, right? So beyond the macro, so there are micronutrients for the vitamins and minerals we need, and anything, a any food, so protein, carbs, and fats, all of those foods are carriers for those micronutrients, right? So we need micronutrients separately, but in terms of like protein, carbs, and fats, um, the carbs and fats are where we get the energy from. So that would be because obviously having a body requires energy. Even if we're in a coma, we need a certain amount of energy. Now, that energy can come from carbs or fats. So when we lower the carbs, we need more fats in our diet if we're on a ketogenic approach, right? Because then now that energy comes from fat. Now that energy can come from both body fat if we have access to it. When you're highly insulin resistant, it's harder for your body to access your body fat at times. But if you are on a ketogenic diet, your energy source is going to be just your fat mostly. So your body fat plus your supplemental dietary fat. So how much dietary fat you need to add. Oh, and then I'll also say that hormones, many vitamins are fat soluble, and also our hormones are made from fat. So we need a certain amount of fat in our diet so that we can make those hormones and we can have some energy. Now, the amount of fat we need on a daily basis, so from our diet, so that we can make hormones and digest fat soluble vitamins, is not very high. It's probably around 30, 40 grams for most of us, unless you're a very large person, but as in like a very tall, structured person. So that amount is very minimal in terms of energy. So you certainly need more than that on most people's ketogenic diets. But how much you need is certainly going to vary from person to person. If you are a small, sedentary, overweight, um, not very active, older human, all those things, you're going to need a lot less fat in most cases than someone who is younger, bigger. And by bigger, I mean, again, like more muscular, larger skeleton, not just how much body fat you have. Um, uh, Person with a lot of energetic needs, maybe because they are very active, they do a lot of working out, they do a lot of activity through the day, a lot of walking, a lot of moving around. That person's energetic needs are going to be higher, right? And so there's not a set amount of fat that everyone needs to consume on a ketogenic diet. It's really going to vary. Like if I put my boyfriend on a ketogenic diet in terms of how much fat he might need, he might need, I don't know, 200 grams of fat for him to maintain his body the way he wants to maintain his body. Whereas I might need more like 60 grams of fat to maintain my body the way I want to, because I have a little bit of extra storage of body fat that I can call on to add to my energy needs and maybe use some of that for fuel, whereas he does not have any extra body fat, really little, but not like no excess. If he was in a famine, it's not like he would drop dead tomorrow trying to live on his body fat. Every human that is a functional living human can live for quite a while on their body fat. It's just that they would start to be far leaner and weaker than they would want to be to have to eat into that stores at a certain point. So there's a real variety of needs of energy based on our activity, our metabolism, our body size, and so that's why no one can really effectively give an answer to that question. I can say, like, all right, we can estimate how much lean body mass you have, and based on that, we can estimate your protein needs. That's the word I was looking for. Your protein needs, but if uh, but it's going to be a a much longer conversation around how much fat you need to eat, and not one we're probably going to accomplish getting the right answer to in the first meeting. We're going to have to track things over time and look at, what direction is the scale moving, what's your body composition like. But the general rule of thumb that I follow, which is true in most cases, is going to be if you have excess body fat, you can probably eat a little bit less dietary fat and still be healthy. Whereas if you have very low body fat, you're going to need to eat more dietary fat to stay healthy. So that's hopefully a question. But in terms of like maybe the answer you're saying, I know protein is a priority, but what about fat? You absolutely cannot go on a low fat ketogenic diet, not for long. Protein sparing modified fasts, I would call a low-ish fat ketogenic diet for sure. But I would not say that that is a healthy way to live long term. You're going to need to, switch off of that at some point, even if it's a good idea to begin with for everybody. I don't think it's a good idea for everybody. It might be a good idea for some people. So hopefully that answered that question from Brooklyn. Terry, no problem. I will see you next time. Absolutely. I'm so glad that my podcasts have been helpful for you. I do them with the intention of being helpful to people. So, all right, guys. Well, let's wrap up today's stream. It seems like a short one, but we respond to what the needs of the people are, and I will see you guys next week. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.